Around the period of the 47s, and the partition of India came in at that time. Can you tell us something about the effects that the partition had on the film industry here in Bombay? Did you feel the effects to a large extent?
Partition, I think, did not have much effect because very few artists from here went away. Say Shakir went away, then Shah Nawaz, then Sadiq, director Sadiq, then what you call S.M. Yusuf, director.
A lot of people also came in from that side. No?
Yes, but then this Pancholi's studio was there. There were all our Hindu artists and technicians and all that. They came, and then Ravindra Dave was the director, the Pancholi's near Bhanja. Once he was standing on the bus stand, and my brother saw him. He told him that now what we are doing. They can, "Nahi, kuch nahi. We have just come after partition and we are unemployed." Who are there? Husnal Bhagat Ram, Mulkraj Bakhri, Om Prakash, Pran, they are all there. Then we made one picture, Sawan Bado, with Munawar Sultana as heroine and Ram Singh hero and this Om Prakash, Pran and Ravindra Dave as the director and music director was Husnal Bhagat Ram and Mulkraj Bakhri was the writer. Like that.
So one film you made practically for the refugees
Yes,
of the partition.
more or less.
But tell me, what effect did the partition have in practical terms? Because the territory of India was considerably reduced.
Yeah.
So business-wise also it must have been a
Business-wise,
blow.
Northern Territory and this Bengal Territory was very much affected because Northern Territory, Balochistan, West Punjab went to them, and this Kashmir also went to them. It is not in this territory. According to the films, the territory are quite different. CP Birar, for instance, now it is in Maharashtra, CP Birar. But still it is termed as a separate entity. And Bengal was separated. So we lost Dhaka and all that. Us.
But I believe a lot of films were also lost in the partition.
Yes.
A lot of films were left behind in Pakistan.
Yes. And Noor Jahan, the singer, also went there. And Shaukat Hussain. So many people went there.
But to a certain extent, Bombay was unaffected.
Not affected.
In that sense, you know. But a lot of the studio and the infrastructure of the industry went on to the other side.
But in Lahore, our studio, Pancholi studio, was there only. It was a very prominent studio and they were producing wonderful pictures. They had to close down and come here. Khazanchi and all that, hits, Dasi, Ghulam Haidar came from there. Sawan ke nazare hai, it was a vogue in those days.
Anyway, so in a sense, one particular era of Indian films came to an end with the partition.
Yeah.
In 1947, you went to the United States. I think this was your first visit abroad. Can you tell us something about it?
Yes, I went in 1947. I left Bombay by TWA plane, Douglas 6. There were no jet planes, these propeller planes, on 22nd February. And I reached New York after 3 days because there was no night flights. We had to halt at so many places. And then third day I reached. My purpose of visit was to just to find out the commercial outlet for our pictures. I took the prints of Ram Rajya, Bharat Milap, Vikramaditya, and then I took the script of Lord Buddha, which we are going to produce after Ram Rajya. It was English version and Hindi version. English version was written by famous poet Harindranath Chattopadhyay. And I took that version. And my idea was also that we can produce the picture in collaboration with any Hollywood concern. So I contacted all the studios I visited, and Mr. Spyros Kouros of 20th Century Fox, the then president of 20th Century Fox, he showed interest in this. And then Mr. Daryl F. Zanuck was the production executive of 20th Century Fox, and he directed me to see him. And then I talked to him that I have got the script of Buddha, and if you are interested, we can collaborate and make a picture, international picture. So he said that yes, it's a good project, but then you leave the script here, we'll study the script, and then we'll let you know. Right at the moment, I can't say anything. So the people already had advised me that don't leave the script here, you see. Then I'll say that all right, I'll expect your reply later on. And then Mr. Spyros Kouros took so much interest in, he wanted to see Ram Raj. And he took me to his Long Island home, 40 miles from North New York. And in the car, he was throughout sleeping. Then we were reached there, we had a dinner, and then we saw Ram Raj. And then we saw the rushes of the present picture, which was under production at Century Fox. And then at about 4 or 4:30, we went to sleep. The next day, we started for New York, and he slept in the car. I told him that all the while you are sleeping in the car, because that is the only time I get for sleeping. Here in the morning, 3 hours I get only. So he was a nice man. Then the show was arranged, Ram Raj, in the Museum of Modern Art in New York. And under the auspices of East and West Association, Paul Buck was the chairman. And then we invited some selected people. PROs, promoters were Gellert, and company. And they sponsored the whole thing. Then in the beginning, I just spoke about the story, synopsis. And then the show was started. The questionnaire was issued. So how do you like, what do you like, how sets, music, acting, this, that. The picture was shown. The people were wondered that are there such beautiful stars in India? We never heard about it, that such films are being produced in India. And then they said that some said that we like sets, we like acting, we like music. Out of all, one girl came to me and asked me, well, Mr. Bhatt, this Ram, in spite of knowing that Sita was chaste, and his Agni Pariksha was also taken, and then in spite of that, by telling this washerman, he just turned away his own wife. That is strange. And I said that, you see, that is the real democratic king. The king takes 3 vows: protection of the people, please the people, and to प्रजा पालन, प्रजा सेवा, प्रजा रंजन, 3 प्रतिज्ञा ली है. So for the sake of pleasing the people, he took this. That is the difference between the Occidental Western king, democratic king, and our democratic king. George VIII, King Windsor, he left the people for the sake of his wife, Mrs. Simon.
Yeah. Edward VIII.
Edward. But our king, he left his own wife for the sake of the people, to please the people. That is the contrast. And then, not that the Ram turned away his wife. The King Ram, turned away the queen. He loved Sita so much that he lived afterwards an ascetic life in her absence. So such was the ideal of our king. Then says, all right, she was convinced.
Who are the other prominent people you met in the United States?
I went in all these studios. First of all, I went to Warner Brothers. There, President Reagan, ex-president of America, Ronald Reagan, he had given me the autograph. He was working in the picture Voice of the Turtle, and he gave me this autograph. When he became the president, I wrote him a letter that I have got the privilege of having a autograph of the great star, but now I have the double privilege of having the autograph of the President of America. And then I met this Esther Williams, Eddie Cantor, Ray Milland, all these stars. Esther Williams, who worked in the Bathing Beauty, and Bathing Beauty ran for 14 continuous weeks in Metro Cinema here, Bombay. And I congratulated her for this long run. Then she was surprised that what was there in that picture. There was nothing. Then Lady Cantor said that, well, people might be sex-starved there. And then I went to Metro, and Elizabeth Taylor, who later became the great star of Cleopatra and all that, she was working as a adolescent artist in Cynthia picture called Cynthia, and she gave me the autograph, Elizabeth Taylor.
But even at that time, they were considerably advanced to the Indian film industry?
Yeah, of course. But then there were some good stories, good pictures. James Bond came later on. Even then, the average American told me that don't judge us from our pictures. That is a cardboard city, Hollywood. We are not the people like that. In some pictures, we are painted like that, bullies and gangsters and all that.
When you went to the United States in 47, you had gone with the idea of promoting your films, and you had carried cans of your films and all. What happened about it later? Did you manage to get commercial exploitation? Or?
No, there was no inlet for. But there was one picture, Open City, which was running in some small cinema, Italian picture. It was running for a year. Then Bicycle Thief and all those came pictures there. But then there was no chance for Indian pictures.
In spite of the fact that they had liked the picture very much, you were telling us. After this visit, you came back to India.
Yeah.
Which month did you come back?
I came in May, I think.
But when you landed in Karachi, what was the situation like? Because this was just a little before the partition.
Just little before, that was not so much, but then there were stray incidents. And one Parsi gentleman who was the theatre owner there, he received me, I stayed with him. But the next day I started by Air India plane.
When you got back to India, what was the first film that you started immediately?
Sawan Bhado, because after partition, as I told you, didn't I tell?
Yes, you met Ravindra Dave.
Ravindra Dave and all that. And then they made picture for us, Sawan Bhado and all that. And Munawar Sultana and Ram Prakash and all that. Yeah. And then Rakhi, there was Kamini Kaushal, Karan Diwan, Pran, Kuldeep Kaur, and Ullas,
Gop,
Shanti Dave.
I think the next film was then Usha Haran.
Usha Haran. Usha Haran was directed by Shanti Kumar, where Arun and Mradula and Shantarin was there, and Ratnamala was there, and the music was given by Saraswati Devi, that Parsi lady who gave music in Bombay Talkies pictures.
Now I think we should talk about two of your major films again, made in 52 and 53. That is Baiju Bawra first, and then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Baiju Bawra, as I told, we had long cherished idea. Before 22 years, we read the story in Gujarati magazine, and then we decided to do the picture, but then there was no sound. Then the sound came, and we wanted to do this, and then there was Ramchandra Thakur. He gave the sketch of the story, and Zia Sarhadi wrote the dialogues, and R.S. Chaudhary wrote the additional dialogues. Now for music, it was a classical music, and musical picture. Music is most important. So we again approached Naushad. He was very popular in those days, and he readily agreed. And then we took Surendranath for Tansen and Meena Kumari. We took first we had signed Nargis, and gave 10,000 rupees in advance also. But then she fell sick, and the contract was cancelled. Then we took Meena Kumari, who we gave chance in this. She was working in Wadia Pictures and all that, mythological pictures, for 20,000 rupees. And then Dilip Kumar we wanted to take, Nargis and Dilip Kumar. Dilip Kumar said that दूसरे से मैं 1.5 लाख लेता हूँ, I will take 1.5 lakh, 1.25 lakhs, 1,25,000. मैं बोला भाई हम तो इतना तो देते नहीं है स्टार लोग को, हम तो स्टार बनाते हैं. तो बोले कि आप सोच लीजिए, मैं खंडाला जा रहा हूँ, फिर आते वक्त मैं आपसे मिलूँगा, कुल्ला रोड पर से जाता हूँ. तो one writer who was with us, Kirish, Pandit Kirish, he brought this Bharat Bhushan. And I saw him and I thought that he is quite fit for the role, Bawra role. And we settled him for 6,000 rupees per picture. But then Naushad was not happy. He says, क्या आपने लिया, पहले आप दिलीप कुमार और नरगिस की बात करते थे और अब ये मीना कुमारी, ये चाइनीज फेस और ये भारत भूषण कौन है ये. फिर आप देखिए तो सही, पिक्चर जो बनेगा, आप अपना म्यूज़िक और अपना डायरेक्शन पर पिक्चर चलने वाली है. अगर पिक्चर चलेगी तो हमको क्रेडिट मिलेगी, और दिलीप कुमार ने नरगिस हो गई तो बोले दिलीप कुमार नरगिस हो तो पिक्चर चलने वाली है, उसमें क्या. एंड इट वोंट बी in the shape which is today, that picture. That those people are not Nargis, but Dilip Kumar might have just interfered this, that and all that. And then we sat so many nights at my place at dinner we had, and then up to 4 o'clock we discussed the situations and all that. He labored so much, Naushad, and we made the picture. And when the trial was there, final, yes, then there was one problem. Surendranath was a singer, but then Tansen's that composition of Darwari in the it was not his province. So we approached Ustad Amir Ali Khan, and he said that film में हम लोग करते क्या करें, आप देखिए ना ये सब्जेक्ट ऐसा है. उसने सुना तो बोले अच्छा मैं करूँगा. So Surendranath was furious. I am a singer and you want playback for me. But then this is classical picture and it has its own grammar and all that. You can't do it. And he agreed. And then in the last, when Baiju and Tansen competition, there was a question whom to take for Baiju's voice. And then we approached Paluskar. Shankara Vyas was there. Through him we approached D.G. Paluskar, and he readily agreed, and the music was done. Rafi came into limelight after Baiju Bawra, where his song Man Tarpad Hari Darshan Ko Aaj Malkos and Darbari Duniya Ke Rakhwale Sundar Dabar were so popular, and wherever he went for program, this फरमाइश इसकी होती थी. After the final trial, Naushad was pleased कि अच्छा पिक्चर आपने बनाया, आपने म्यूज़िक भी अच्छा दिया, मैंने सजाया. बोले हाँ बहुत अच्छा किया. और फिर he took the 16mm print, और वो बोले कि कितनी बार बच्चों को एक डायलॉग याद है मेरे बच्चों को.
I think then the next film soon after this is another very important film, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I think Bharat Bhushan won the national award.
नहीं, the Filmfare Award, Best Actor Award. And R.C. Bural we brought from Bengal, Calcutta, for music.
Can you tell us something about the making of this film?
The subject is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is well known. He was a Krishna Bhakta. And Durga Bai played Shachi Mata, his mother, and his wife Vishnu Priya. We had to find out some girl, innocent girl like. Then we discovered Amita. I gave the name Amita. Her name was quite different, and we took her in the heroine's role in Bharat Bhushan, and then B.M. Vyas for that Tantrik and all that. And the R.C. Bural gave music, very good music. Raslila sequence we had done in color, Eva color, that particular sequence. The picture was just a moderate success because we could not take liberties in that. Even then, people liked the picture, and Bharat Bhushan got the award, Filmfare Award for that.
I think after this you made a film called Ramayan, again with Prem Adib, Shobna Samar, Shahu Modak.
Ramayana, we re-edited all the three pictures and made a coherent story, complete Ramayana, keeping the important portions and all that. And then we made one Bal Ramayana for Children Film Society. They purchased this in shorter version. And this Ramayana was made important sequences joined together of our three pictures.
So it was not a fresh version, it was a
No,
re-edited
no.
version of what you had done
Yes.
earlier. Soon after this, I think you went to the USSR as a
Yes,
member of the delegation.
In 54.
54.
The first Indian Film Festival was held in Russia, and Baiju Bawra was entered in that festival by the government, selected. And myself, Bimal Roy, Nargis, Raj Kapoor, Nirupa Roy, Chetan Anand, Dev Anand, and Balraj Sani, Rishikesh Mukherjee, Salil Chaudhary, and Vishwas. We were all the delegates. And then we went to the trade wings they arranged for our, and we went to Geneva first. In Geneva, we went to see Charlie Chaplin. He was staying in the suburb of Geneva. He said, so we told him that why you came to Switzerland. He says, you see, America smelt that I am a communist, and I had to leave America and stay here. In Moscow, we stayed for 10 days, and there our pictures were shown first. Avara was shown. Its Russian name was Brezhyaga, and Baiju Bawra, and all the pictures were shown by and by. And they take 800 copies at a time. They release clubs, factories, everywhere there is cinema. And Baiju Bawra, I told them that why they like Baiju Bawra. Okay, first of all, music, but then the idea is that the common artist, people's artist, vanquish the royal artist, court singer. That is the best point of this picture.
But was there any talk of commercial exploitation in USSR?
At that time, there was not much, but then afterwards they took our pictures. These pictures were purchased by them and commercially released. All these pictures, Rahi, and then we went to Leningrad. Leningrad, we visited University of Leningrad. There we were surprised that Premchandji's photo was there. In schools also. And here in India, we don't see Premchandji's photo. And the students, you see, they were Sanskrit also studying and reciting the sloks of Meghdut, Kaschit Kanta Vira Guruna. I was surprised. You see, they were so studious. And our interpreter, they knew all the languages, Urdu, Hindi, and all that. And then we went to Gori, Stalin's birthplace, and we saw this memorial of Stalin where he stayed in the room. And then we saw that well. Inside the well, he had the press. There was a passage inside, and he used to issue the paper against Tsar. And then one day, he was caught. Then he fled from Gori.
Did you observe any filmmaking procedure over there?
Yes, we visited the Mass Film Studio, and there we saw the shooting of the picture. But then there is a system that it is not a private venture; it's a state venture. But then producer is given the budget. The producer gives the budget that this is the budget of the picture, and then if he does in that budget, he is given the special prize for that. And all the people's artists they get according to their capacity and all that. You see.
Comparing the American system and the Russian system of working on motion picture, which did you feel was more efficient?
But that is American was more. There was a lot of freedom there. Here, you can produce only particular type of pictures. You can't put sex or anything like that, or violence or all that, or historical pictures.
Yeah.
That Potemkin and other so many other pictures. Battleship Potemkin.
Yeah. You returned to India after this visit, and which film did you begin working on? Patrani?
Patrani, yes. That Vaijayanti Mala and the Pradeep Kumar were there. Shankar Jaikishan gave the music. And Durga Kote was there. And Shashikala. And it was about the history of Gujarat. David played the role of the minister Munjal. But the picture didn't do well.
After this, I think you introduced your younger brother Harsukh Bhatt as director
Yeah.
with Bal Yogi Upamanyu.
Yeah.
I think you made a film for the Thai Information Service, Angulimal.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
That Thai government wanted to make this picture. And there was no, studios in Thailand. So they came here and approached Mehboob studio. Mehboob suggested Nanlal Jaswantlal as director. But then during the negotiation and discussion and all that, unfortunately Nanlal Jaswantlal expired. So Mehboob sent me that now you are the fittest person and these foreigners have come here and we must help them and do their picture. So I accepted this. It was the story of a cutthroat who had taken a vow to 1,000 fingers and make a garland of it. That's why Anguli Mal. And then ultimately Buddha brings him round and then he becomes Arhat.
Who played Buddha in this film?
Buddha was not shown, you see, because Ceylon government, we had an experience in Ram Raj. After Ram Raj, when we wanted to start with the, I told you, I think, that they objected. Government said that you can carry on, but then they passed a resolution in council, Ceylon council, and said we'll approach His Majesty's government if you produce this picture. Nobody can play the role of Buddha. Up to enlightenment you can do Siddharth. But then what is the sense in this? The message, real message is after his enlightenment. And then, so we did not show the face of the hand, feet and all the voice.
I think this picture also suffered a little because earlier the Prime Minister of Thailand was interested in the film.
Yes.
And then he
Yes,
was
so then
removed.
He was removed and then mess, you see, that how to, these people say that now what we can do, our support is gone, financial support. Now how to finish the picture. Then I found out a financier here and as if I am the producer, I had to do all the things, manage. Bharat Bhushan played the role of Angulimal, very nice. Nimi was there as the heroine, and Ullas was there, and
Anita
Guha, who also worked in the Goonj Shehnai also, very good role. And the picture was made, you see.
Then I think is another interesting film, Bapu Ne Kaha Tha.
Yeah, that was produced by Children for Film Society. I was the member of the Children Film Society, and when R.R. Divakar was the chairman, and Mr. Mahendranath was the secretary. And Mr. Divakar told me that you make this picture. The story was about the Morarji Desai goes to a school and narrates the childhood incidents of Mahatma Gandhi and all that, and Morarji Desai had to appear in that. So we approached and Mr. Divakar, he was in good terms with him and he readily agreed. In Mehboob studio we completed the shooting. So I told Morarji that I have today the privilege of directing the greatest star of India, Morarji Desai.
What role was Nana Parshikar playing in the film?
Nana Parshikar, I think, was the boys. There were two boys. one good boy and one bad boy.
Uh-huh.
And he was the father of that bad boy. And he wanted to bring him round and all that.
But was there any actual depiction of Gandhiji in the film?
No,
Just
only just
stories.
a story. And the song was Satyamev Jayate. On that, we had made a theme song.
I think after this, you produced and directed two very big films for Prakash Pictures. One was Haryali or Rasta and Himalaya Ki Goad Mein.
Yes,
Both were super successes.
Haryali or Rasta, there is a story that after the success of Rajendra Kumar, this Goonj Shehnai, he wanted to repeat him. But he said that no, now Pasan has offered me 2,50,000 rupees. So he gave me 2 lakhs. And we paid you 20,000 and you want again this 10 times more. That can't be done. We will not. We will make the stars. We'll take new boy. He said, then I'll suggest you one boy is coming every day in the morning to my place having breakfast and telling me that give me some work. You just recommend. And then Rajendra Kumar sent him, Manoj Kumar. We had fixed Mala Singh as heroine. And Manoj Kumar, quite handsome, tall and all that. But then just he had didn't know how to walk and all. Mala Singh बोलती है वो चलना भी नहीं आता है उसको ये. और वो शंकर एकदम फ्यूरियस हो गया कि लंबू मेरा गाना गाएगा जिसको चलना नहीं आता है ये हो. तो बोले आप देखिए तो सही आप कैसे पिक्चर बनती है. The picture was on the background of Darjeeling tea estate. And Dhruv Chatterjee wrote the story and Kamar Jalalabadi wrote the dialogue. And the picture was made. And Mala Singh also helped Manoj Kumar. And I took work from him and the picture was Silver Jubilee success. We have made a picture for one picture, 11,000 Haryali Rasta and two option, 12,500 and then 15,000. Now after the success, we started Himalaya Ki Goad Mein. He did it all right. Meanwhile, he produced Upkar and it was a super hit. So he said that now nothing doing 15,000. I thought we wanted to make Sur Singar. So we approached him that अभी आप अपना कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है वो फुलफिल कीजिए. तो कर नहीं अभी आता हूँ मैं ये ऐसा करके 6 महीने लगा दिए. 6 months he took. और आता हूँ करके फिर we dropped him and we dropped the picture also, Sur Singar. And I told him that you have given a song in Upkar, कसमें वादे प्यार वफा सब बातें हैं बातों का क्या. You have proved yourself. कोई किसी का नहीं है झूठे नाते हैं नातों का क्या.
Very prophetic song.
हाँ.
I think after this, Prakash Pictures also faced some problems, some trade union problems.
No, that is later on.
Much later, but then you started on Ram Rajya.
Then we started Himalaya Ki Goad Mein. It was inspired by Albert Schweitzer, who worked in Africa, in tribal area. And we prepared the story. And Manali background. Doctor comes from London with FRCS degree. But then he prefers to go there. And Jayant, after a long span, he played the Daku. It was a wonderful picture. It ran for 43 weeks in Opera House. And 11 weeks were full, all the shows, continuous. It was our first color picture, where my son Praveen, I gave him the chance, independent chance. I was rather hesitant. That he was an assistant. And to give him a color picture straight away. But my brother Shankar Bhai insisted that no, he will do it. Why not? Have confidence, carry on. And results were very good. And the picture ran very well.
Then after this, you did Ram Rajya.
Ram Rajya. Ram Rajya in color. We thought that it brings 50% of the revenue. It is enough. So we took Bina Rai and then new boy, Marathi, Kumar Sen. And then Valmiki was the same, Badri Prasad. But then picture didn't click, you see. Because the people had the impression of Shobna Samarth and Ram Premadi. they would never forget. The music was not like that. That Bharati ek sannari ki हम कथा सुनाते हैं in black and white. मीना मधुर मधुर कुछ बोल. We couldn't reach that height. Vasant Desai gave the music and picture was not a success.